afternoon, everyone. This is Steve Cangiano with CMIC. Welcome to our webinar. Happy that everyone was able to join us. We have a good amount of attendees already. We have a few more people pouring in, so we are going to get started. We are planning this to be a 45-minute webinar. We have 30 minutes of content, and then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end. A little bit of housekeeping. We are going to be using the polling question feature in GoToMeeting. We'll ask that within the next 5 minutes or so. So that's all going to be done through the platform. There's also a section for questions. So if you do have questions throughout the presentation, you can ask those questions inside of GoToMeeting. We have a moderator that's actually going to be monitoring the questions and the chat throughout the presentation. And they're going to pick out some questions that they think would be helpful for us to answer at the end. So today's webinar will be presented by myself. My name is Steve Cangiano, as well as Imran Ahmed. And Imran is our product manager that focuses on our HCM applications. So that's everything from HR all the way through to payroll. And together we're going to be presenting how well do you understand your project's labor costs. And this is going to be a deep dive into some of our time tracking as well as job cost forecasting features. So we're really excited to show you what we have, and we'll get started. So today's agenda, like I mentioned, we are going to be focusing on our time tracking and job cost solution. These are two specific features inside of the CMIC's construction platform, which we'll talk about in a second. Imran is going to kick us off with our first live demo, and he is going to be covering tracking time in the field. And this is going to be focusing on our mobile application. So this is a place where we can actually track time in the field for all of our employees across cost codes. And this is something that we've been working on for quite some time. We're really excited to show you what we have there. Once he's finished, we're going to transition to the back office, and we'll talk a little bit about what options are available in CMIC for forecasting and managing job cost. So we'll show you our contract forecasting program and how information that is tracked in the field using mobile crew time seamlessly flows into our contract forecasting module. And then, like I said at the beginning, we'll have about 30 minutes of content, and then we'll open it up for about 15 minutes of Q&A. All right. Now, there are going to be a combination of customers, CMIC customers, and maybe some potential CMIC customers that are on the call today. So I want to just take a minute and explain very quickly a little bit about CMIC for those of you that may not be familiar with the company. CMIC is a construction software company based in Toronto, and we've been in business for over 30 years, and we've developed what we believe is the most comprehensive software platform for construction. And as you can see on the slide here, we have a kind of a list of just a few of the modules or core features that we offer. And one of the things that's really unique about CMIC is that we have such a wide set of features that all sit on a single platform. So all the information moves really nicely between all of these different features. Now, some of the things that are going to be relatively unique to CMIC is how tightly integrated payroll and job costing are, which is what we're going to be focusing on in this demonstration. And one of the reasons that we've highlighted some of these specific features is that these features would be really difficult to kind of hook together with third-party applications. And it's one of the unique value propositions that we offer is that because we have financials, payroll, job billing, job costing in a single platform, it enables us to do things that you wouldn't be able to do with point solutions, and we'll be talking about that in today's presentation. But one of the things that's something CMIC has transitioned to over the last, let's say, 5-6 years is opening up our platform, because we realize that we may not be a complete solution for every company. So what we've done is we've invested a lot of time and a lot of money into our open API, and that's enabled us to have customers plug in third-party point solutions to kind of create a cohesive system in areas that maybe they feel they have some unique requirements that we don't serve. You know, we have our own project management system, but we have some customers that plug in third-party PM systems. That's okay. All the information is going into the platform, so you can still report on the data from one place, but that unique third-party point solution solves whatever problem it's specifically supposed to solve, but the data is still going back into the platform. And the same could be said for something like a service work order solution or a third-party human resources system. You may still use our payroll processing, but maybe you have third-party HR. that's also okay because of our open API and the fact that we want to bring all this information into the platform. These are all different options that you have with CMIC. When it comes to deployments, we offer a wide variety of deployment options. Two of the most common would be either a private hosted solution, your own instance of CMIC, totally private from anyone else, or you have a multi-tenanted option, which is more popular with SaaS companies today. And that would be like a subscription per user per month, plug and play, really easy to get up and started. So just wanted to share that with you as a little bit of background about CMIC for those of you that may not know. And I'd like to actually now stop for a second and ask a quick question, which is related to our presentation today. I'm going to put the polling question up on the screen. Just give me 1 second here. So it should take over your screen in just a second. So we'll give you a minute or two to answer this question. The question is, do your existing workflows and processes enable you to effectively capture labor hours or labor costs for your project? So basically, how effective do you feel your current solution is at tracking hours in the field and then translating those hours to real job costs back at the office where your project managers have to do a forecast, right? Bit of a loaded question because we're going to show you guys some nice solutions for it, but we're curious to see what people's kind of current status is in this area, because this isn't something that we've done a lot of presentations on in the past. A lot of times we talk about project management, sometimes we talk about our financials or maybe just our mobile solution. We haven't just focused on labor capture in a long time in terms of these types of presentations. So I'm interested in what the results are going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and close the results. We're kind of split down the middle here, and I'll share the results with you guys so everyone can see. Pretty even distribution. I actually don't think I've seen a distribution like this before when we ask these polling questions. So interesting data points. I don't know if I can make too many assumptions based on this because it's so even, but I do appreciate you guys participating in the poll. So we're going to go back and let me just go back to my screen here for a second. We're going to transition over to Imran next. And Imran, as I said, is going to be focusing on our time capture in the field with mobile crew time. He's going to give us a bit of a preamble of what he's going to show, and then he's going to dump into a live demonstration, and then he's going to hand it back over to me to look at some of the stuff in the back office with contract forecasting. So I'm going to pass it over to Imran and take it away.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining the webinar today, and I hope everyone is safe and healthy. As our topic today, how well do you understand your project labor costs plays a significant role for you to understand your project cost. There are many uses of timesheets, such as building historical information to see how long each task takes, billing your customer, and manage your workload. People are often surprised when they track their time because they can see exactly where they are spending the most effort. Timesheet can be helpful in pointing out why you aren't efficient as you think you should be, because they flag up where your time is going. So given a right tool in your employee's hand in fields while they are busy million other tasks to complete their job on time, boosts their productivity, and they don't feel that filling out timesheet is time consuming and waste of time. It's also helped back office from having to rekey field time into payroll smoothly. CMIC MCT integrates with your job cost, equipment, payroll modules to make this transition smooth. In my demo, I will be showing today how we can create seamless workflow from a foreman tracking his crew timesheet daily, and then submit to supervisor for the review, and finally submit to payroll. All these can be done on a mobile without rekeying data into a payroll or job costing. So without further delay, let's review MCT. So as I said, what I'm showing today, that how Foreman is going to record their hours and their productivity on a daily basis. And then he will be reviewing his weekly timesheet once he finishes up the week and finalize the time and submit it to employee for their sign off. And once employees are happy that their times are actually recorded properly and their breaks are actually recorded properly, then Foreman can hand over to supervisor to review. And once supervisor is satisfied, that he can submit the timesheet and approve the timesheet and submit it to the payroll module. And then payroll can actually approve the payment and distribute the checks. So let's go into the MCT. So today I'm going to be actually playing a two different role here. I'll be acting as a foreman, and I'll be logging in as Christopher. And Christopher is our foreman today, who's actually working this week and managing his crew and entering his timesheet. So let me log in as Christopher. Christopher already created his timesheet. As you can see, while he's logging in, he already recorded his timesheet on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. These green dots indicates me that all the timesheets are safe. All timesheets are completed for those 3 days. As you can see on the left-hand side panel, my 5 crew members, including Christopher, is on the list because he's my foreman, and he have 4 other crew members on the left-hand side, which tells him like what their labor skills are. And on the top, you can see all the activities this crew is working on. So they are actually busy working in demobilization and installing some wood door, excavator and background, wet pulling, and electrical testing. So these are my activity which foreman can track it and enter the timesheet. So I'm going to show you that how foreman can enter a timesheet in a various way into the MCT. So I'm going to go to the Thursday, next day, and I'm going to fill in the timesheet ahead. So there's various ways that foreman can enter the timesheet. Number one is that I can simply press this icon here and then copy the timesheet from Wednesday, which is July 8th, yesterday, and it will simply copy all my timesheet on Thursday. If my crew was actually involved in the same activity as today on Thursday, then foreman don't have to change any timesheet for any crew member. He's simply going to actually record the time in that today the crew started the time at 7 a.m., finished at 12 p.m. for the lunchtime, and then started back at 12:30 and finished the shift at 3:30 today to complete his timesheet for 8 hours. And as soon as we enter the in and out time for 40 hours, as you see, I've entered the time in and out time. I can simply save the time by pressing this icon on the floppy disk, and my operation is complete. The foreman, what also can do, they can also track the activity by entering, or productivity by entering the cost quantity right on the activity level. So here, I have actually is able to install almost 10 wood doors today, and I want to update the project productivity right from the MCT. Now, the good part is that once I save this, I don't have to wait to submit this timesheet to payroll and wait for them to approve it or post the timesheet into the system. Foreman can directly click on this percentage sign, that how much productivity is completed, how much percent, and he can see that he actually entered the 10 quantity right here, and then post the product quantity right from the MCT, which will update your project. Now, this productivity is completed, as I said, I haven't submitted my payroll, I simply completed my productivity, the quantity completed, and then updated to my project on a daily basis. What else can be done here for the on a daily basis? Let me go to the Friday so I can show you that how foreman can actually enter a timesheet in a different way. So rather than copy, because today on Friday, my crew members work on different activities. So rather than copy, I'm going to enter timesheet manually so you can see how various ways we can enter time card. So I'm going to press this plus sign right on the detail section. And as soon as I press, the system will open or allow you to enter time card in a batch entry. So I'm going to enter 8 hours was actually worked by Christopher and Jackson. They actually spent 8 hours for the demobilization, and then system will fill in the 8 hours for both my Jacob and for my Jackson crew member. Rest of the member, just like Luke, was busy working on the backfill. So I'm going to enter manually his 8 hours here and finish it out. Same thing for the electrician. My Owen, he was working 8 hours on the third activity, enter 8 hours, finish it up. And Samuel was working, again, he's a carpenter, he was installing the doors today as well, 8 hours spending time, and then pulling my timesheet and complete it. So as you can see, that I can either copy my timesheet from a previous day and work with the previous time and just change it, or I can enter timesheet manually. You can also track your equipment time while you're doing a labor cost. So if you are a company who are tracking your equipment hours separately, and if let's say Owen was working on the excavate or backfill and he was using the equipment and you wanted to track your equipment time, you can simply click on add equipment. And if you have equipment associated with the job, then you can simply select the equipment and enter the time for that equipment right here on the MCT. And that will update your equipment module for the working hours. Now, once I finish my timesheet, what I'm going to do Friday, because what happened that I had to, let me enter my timesheet quickly, in at a time. So today I had to borrow a person, a crew member for me, and I had to do some extra work for the excavate and backfilling. So I had to borrow a person into my crew member. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how your foreman can simply add a crew member on a Friday. So I'm going to press this icon. It will allow me to show me all my crew member if I have my crew member in my crew list. If I don't have a crew member in my list, then I can simply press all crew member. It will show me all the crew members available. And I'm going to actually enter Matthew by entering the search here. And here's my Matthew, which I want to add him into my crew member today because I borrowed him from some other job to complete my task today for the excavate and backfill. So here I'm going to enter Matthew time separately, 8 hours, and then save the time, and then enter his timesheet because he was actually came in at 8 a.m. in the morning rather than the regular shift, and then he was on the lunch from 12 p.m. till 12:30, and then he finished it up at 4:30 p.m. So his 8 hours is completed. So as you can see, you can also enter a different time for your crew member if they're starting on a different time zone. So I completed my Friday time and then hit the press save button. You can also create the activity. So if you're working on a different activity today, by pressing this sign, by pressing this symbol, it will allow you to choose a different activity. So let's say I'm going to actually go to the cost code list, and then I'm going to use the drawings, and then select the category label and press OK. The MCT will automatically add another category for you as a drawing on the last file. You can also, if any member is not working or not show up or not required in your crew, you can simply press a very soft touch and it will allow you to either delete a single crew member or you can delete a multiple crew member. And it will allow you to select vertical crew member, and then you can simply press the OK, and then system will remove the crews from your list. Same thing for the activity. If you press the soft touch on the activity level, it will allow you to delete either a single activity or delete multiple activities. So now I've completed my timesheet. As first of all, the timesheet has been completed. I'm okay with it. Now it's showing me a Friday timesheet. I want to review the whole week timesheet if the timesheet has been completed. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this icon on top. It will give me a very nice weekly view. And then it will show me that everybody has completed their 40 hours. this I can represent that I have actually completed the whole 40 hours. If I am missing a timesheet for somebody, then I can see right there on the dashboard on my weekly view that I'm missing a timesheet. And I know that I'm missing a timesheet from Matthew because I borrowed him on Friday, and then Friday he worked for me on 8 hours. But he must have worked somewhere else. How do I know that his whole timesheet is entered for 40 hours and I'm not missing his another hours for the week? So what I can do, I can simply click on Matthew just to see his timesheet for a whole week. And when I click on it, then I can see that, oh yeah, Matthew is working on the Kesser Ethereum. He was working on there. His timesheet has been recorded by the foreman on that crew because he was working on a different crew. And then he worked for me on my NFL Stadium job for Friday on 8 hours. So his timesheet is also completed and his 40 hours has been recorded. So that's the way I can verify as a foreman that if I borrowed somebody, I can verify that his timesheet is also completed and recorded, even though he's working on a different job and completely different crew member. Now, once I have completed my timesheet and everything looks good, I can hand over this timesheet to employee. And I can say, okay, what we can do, we can start the sign-off process for each member. So by doing that, what's going to happen that I'm going to actually hand over the iPad to Jacob and say, hey, Jacob, can you finish, or Matthew, let's, to finish up your sign-off process. So I'm going to do the Jackson actually. So click on Jackson. Jackson can come in and then he can see that his timesheet has been recorded, his 40 hours has been completed, and he can see that he took one break. His shift time was started at 7 a.m. He's finished it up 3:30 p.m. And then he was taking one break all the time in every day. So he's fine with that. Once he reviewed that, we're going to click on the signature icon, and Jackson can actually sign his timesheet, and then at the same time, the Christopher is also going to sign and complete the process for the employee sign-off. Once the sign-off is completed, and for every member, as you can see that Foreman can also see here on this dashboard that I have completed the sign-off for Jackson. Jackson has signed in, and myself has also completed the signature. Rest of the employees are not completed. So I'm not going to go through the whole process, but as you can see, this whole sign-off process can be done right here on the iPad. Now, while I'm on this dashboard, you can see that this submitted timesheet are no longer available, so please access the text. But the foreman does not have privilege to submit the timesheet. What foreman can do, once he finishes up his timesheet, he can hand over to a supervisor to review the weekly timesheet and then submit to payroll. Now, I can notify right from the iPad, right from the MCT by clicking this icon. If I click on this icon, it gives me two options. Either I can mail or either I can do the text message to my supervisor. Now, email and text message are actually set up under my MCT setting. And if I say mail, it will open the email and you can see that it will send the emails to supervisor with the information to review the timesheet and submit it to payroll. Now, once this timesheet is submitted to supervisor, I'm going to go and log out from here as a foreman view, and I will show you how supervisor can do and what supervisor privileges are. So I will go and log out from here, and now I will log in as my supervisor, and my supervisor is William. So normally, when you're using the same, I'm using the same iPad. When William is using his own iPad, he will directly go to his crew sheet which he's working on. So you don't have to select the job while he's actually logging into the MCT. But since I'm using the same iPad, and it allowed me to clear all my settings because it knows that you are a different person. So we don't want to record all the, what we do, we locally erase the data. So person have to re-elect all the information which they want to see. So I'm going to submit it. Now, I'm logged in as foreman now, and as supervisor now. So William is coming in, and then he can see the timesheet here. I'm going to show you a couple of dashboards which William can review it as a supervisor. So I'm going to click on this hamburger menu, go my dashboards, And here I can see that how many crews are working on the NFL Stadium Los Angeles job. Right now, I only have one crew actually working on this job. They completed their 208 hours. As you can see, one of the member didn't complete his timesheet, is missing the timesheet. So by clicking on this job, I can go into this timesheet and I can see that who is the person who's missing a timesheet here. Oh, Matthew is missing a timesheet. And the same thing that you can see that click on the Matthew, supervisor can do the same thing. Click on the Matthew, he can review that Matthew actually worked on a different job because I'm looking at timesheet by job, by crew. So Matthew is worked on a different job, which is a new case job, and he can review the same thing, and he can see that he's completed his timesheet by checking this two different ticks where the sign-off has been completed. Now, supervisor can also see all the timesheet which he is responsible for. So William is responsible for two different crews, and one is the NFL Stadium job, and one is the Kaiser Auditorium crew. Now, as you can see here, he can see the two different crews. And now he can see that this crew have completed his 232 hours on this job. And by clicking on this, he can do the same thing. He can review the different crews here. And as you can see, his crew members are completed the timesheet, but Matthew here is missing a one-day timesheet, which is Friday. But all we know that he worked on a different crew completely and on Friday. Once Foreman is completed his review, he can go back to the crew sheet where we were before, where he landed it, and he can click on the same menu right here on top. And then after finalizing everything and making sure that everything is good, he can simply press the submit button. And once he submits, it means he's handing over this timesheet to the payroll. The timesheet for the selected week has been submitted successfully. Once this timesheet has been submitted, as you can see, all the icons become disabled, everything is locked down, and now Foreman or anybody cannot touch this timesheet. It's all now payroll, and payroll will go in the back office, and they will review all their timesheet, post the timesheet, and then continue their payroll processing and distribute the checks. So this is all about the MCT, as I showed you the whole process, how Foreman can enter their timesheet and then hand over to supervisor and then supervisor to payroll system. So I'm gonna go back and hand over to Steve to continue the rest of the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Imran. Appreciate that. I'm going to do a quick time check to make sure we have enough time for some questions. I do see a few have been submitted into GoToMeeting. Just to transition from what Imran had showed earlier, I won't go into too much detail here because I think we've done a lot of these presentations around forecasting even recently. But one of the big values is not the fact that we can track time. I mean, that's very important, but really the big value is being able to track those hours and have them seamlessly translate into job costs and then subsequently into your forecast. And that's a huge value because all of those mechanics that Imran was showing gives us the ability that if, depending on your business process, you could actually post timesheets as often as even daily. And that is going to put your project managers at a huge advantage from an operational perspective so that you can see up-to-date labor costs as forecasts are being reviewed, which from a self-perform perspective is massive. So I just put together a really quick slide to kind of illustrate that when we think of contract forecasting at CMIC, there's kind of two big components that we kind of feed into this contract forecast. There's a lot more than this, but this is the two that I just focus on. We have the labor costs, material costs, and equipment costs. All of those things can be tracked in the field in real time using the mobile CrewTime app. And then you also have your potential change items as well being sent to the contract forecasting program so that I get a complete picture as to what my risk is on the project and what my current cost is to date. So go ahead and just switch over to a live demo really quickly. For users of CMIC, this is a very familiar screen. For those that may have seen some of our demos over the last few months, you may have seen this as well. But I want to point out two really important things related to what Imran had presented. As soon as those timesheets are posted, timesheets can be posted as frequently as you want. There is a separate payroll processing action that is going to do that gross to net calculation and all those things that need to happen there. But posting timesheets can happen pretty much as frequently as you want. And when a timesheet gets posted, the charge rate for the job, if it's a blended rate or you have separate burden calculations, all of that's going to go towards job costs, so that when I look at my line item here for superintendent, I can see that I have currently spent just shy of $6,000 on this line. And if I drill into it, I'm seeing all of the posted payroll transactions that are charging to this line in my budget. Now, I happen to be showing an example where Dan McLaughlin was charging a bunch of time to this cost code, but you'll notice there's some security here as well, where I'm actually not able to see some elements of the charging, and that's all based on my access level within CMIC. So you guys do have the ability to control how much detail is being revealed when labor hours are hitting job costs directly from your time tracking solution. As I scroll further over to the right, you'll see that I do have $25,000 worth of pending changes. These have not been approved yet. Actually, these actually have been posted. So these have been posted and approved. So I know that I have $25,000 of changes that are coming down the pipe. I can drill into this in more detail if I need to. But if this is affecting how many labor hours I believe that I may need to incur in order to complete this work, I can see all of this reflected in my drill down. As I scroll further over to the right, you'll see that I have a cost to complete calculation right now of 1.277 million, a little bit more than the $500,000 budget I've been given. So I'm showing almost a $750,000 loss, kind of an extreme number scenario, but I had gone in here earlier and made some overrides. One of the things that's really powerful about contract forecasting is the ability to kind of forecast in the future, but take advantage of some of the payroll and employee profile information that's already within CMIC. Talking about some of the points that make the CMIC platform really valuable, when I'm in a job cost system, right, a job cost feature like contract forecasting, I'm able to have information flow into that application like employee names and roles and rate codes. All of these things come into the system natively because they sit on the same platform. And in this case, I have Tom Hanks and Jennifer Lawrence are both superintendents. They've had a career change recently, and they're both superintendents that have been assigned to this job for a particular duration. So both of them are going to be on the job until September 30th, 2020. Now, how they appeared on the job and how they got assigned for this duration, we have a really powerful resource planning tool where your operation executive team can go through and actually assign key resources or placeholder resources on all of your projects and set them for a certain duration of time. It's an optional feature, but it is really nice, and that's an example of how some of this information can get here. Of course, users can still manually enter in an employee or a type of trade if they don't know what type of employee is going to be assigned, and give them a duration. And the reason you'd want to do that is that we're pulling charge rates based on their either the payroll setup or the job cost billing or the job billing setup. It's pulling in the rates for having those employees, those types of employees on the job for a little over 2 years. So the rate is being pulled in as $123 an hour. We're assuming a 40-hour week. So the total cost to have these two resources in the project is, just shy of 700,000 in both cases, totaling about 1.3 million. Now, this is a long duration, and we may want to make some changes or some adjustments to the estimate inside of this duration. So I can drill into period details and go a little further. So for each month, I can say how many working days there are going to be per period. Are they working a full 40-hour week, or maybe they have 50% assigned and they're splitting it 20 hours and 20 hours, or maybe they're going over 40 hours a week and we need to account for that as well. But you can then see a running cost to the project to have this particular resource here. And then you also can ultimately see how much we're going to be billing the customer to have that resource there, depending if you've set up those rate tables inside of CMIC. So a lot of really powerful information coming in from different areas of the system to ultimately allow you to better forecast your projects and take advantage of some of the actual labor costs that's being tracked in the field within a short period of time. We're not waiting weeks and weeks to get actual labor costs. We can get potentially daily labor costs if we're posting timesheets every day. These are all scenarios that CMIC kind of enables because we have all of these different building blocks that work really nicely together in the platform. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to open it up for some questions from the group. We're going to have Nitin moderate the questions. I'm going to quickly pull up my PowerPoint presentation and just flip over to a question slide so we have some good details. And I'm going to pass it to Nitin to ask the first question.
Thank you, Steve and Imran, for a great presentation, and hopefully you can hear me. We have a few minutes to answer a few questions. So I'll start right off. The first question is, can you enter units without having to enter in any hours?
Yes, you can.
Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that, Imran. Is there any other elements to it? So they just go into the units, or how's that work?
Yes, they just can create the crew time. You can create the crew time sheet. You can just go to the each activity without having a enter time sheets and just click on the product, each activity, enter your productivity, and submit it right from the MCT and post it. You don't have to enter any time or any labor time in MCT on it.
Thank you. The next question is entering the in/out time required, or is it optional, or can you simply enter the hours per day for each crew member per activity?
In and out time is completely optional. It is in the setting. You can turn off the in and out time. And by doing that, you're not required to in and out time in MCT, and you can simply enter labor cost hours and submit it to payroll.
Thank you. The next question is there security that restricts which activities or additional crew members that a foreman can add?
Yes, you can. The MCT uses the e-timesheet module, and e-timesheet module has its own security where you can restrict who can enter or who can use what cost code and what categories, even on the what cost codes, and even on the category level, you can restrict it that what category and what cost code they can use it and add it to the MCT.
Okay, and where does the foreman's time get charged?
Foreman can either enter timesheet on his own on the MCT, and then he can create a timesheet, or he can use his he can charge his timesheet to the different activity as he can enter it on the MCT.
Thank you. The next question is the employee sign-off required, or can the foreman just enter the time for the crew members and submit it?
Sign-off is also optional. You can completely turn it off. You don't have to ask employee to do the sign-off process or ask them to any signature. So you can turn off the sign-off process, simply enter your labor time and post it.
Okay, and the next one is, can you see productivity information from the time card itself?
At this point, not in the timesheet. It's not available in the payroll module, but yes, you can see the productivity in the project's job costing.
Okay, and can you report per diems in MCT?
Not in this version, but in future, in our roadmap, the expense will be available in MCT to do the per diems.
Okay, the next one is, if payroll burdens are being job charged, can they also be job costed daily with their associated daily time postings without waiting for a weekly payroll posting? Do you want me to repeat?
Yeah,
sure.
Can you repeat that?
Okay, so this question is related to payroll burdens. So the question is, if payroll burdens are being job charged, can they also be job costed daily without waiting for a weekly payroll posting?
You can use a different feature in payroll. So what you can do, there's two methods you can use in CMIC payroll. Either you can do the actual job, actual burden costing, which normally happen during the payroll processing. So once you posted your timesheet on job and then you process your payroll, at that point your burdens are allocated to the job and then and post at the time of file posting in CMIC payroll system. However, if you wanted to charge your burden on a daily basis, then what we do actually, we can set up an overheads in CMIC, and then you can do your estimated burden posting on your each job. And that way, when you post your timesheet, system automatically create those burden and post it on a daily basis in the job cost. And you can turn off the actual burden allocation by payroll processing. So yes, it is flexible and you can choose any method you want.
Thank you. The next question is from an existing CMIC customer. They are asking that they are not using approvals currently with CMIC eTime or CrewTime. So are there any considerations they might need to consider with how this mobile CrewTime app will function?
They're not using eTime?
They're not using the approvals currently with CMIC eTime. So the question is, are there any considerations that they might need to consider with how this mobile CrewTime app will function?
Okay, so MCT right now, as you saw, that you can notify right from the MCT to supervisor to notify them, and then they can log in and see it. But you can use a workflows in MCT, and we are working on the workflows right now, and they will be available out of the box, and the workflows can initiate the approval process. So in future, which is coming in near future, once you submit the timesheet, once the foreman actually hand over to the supervisor, and the supervisor will actually get the workflow notification. And from workflow, the supervisor can actually review the timesheet right in the workflow and submit and approve it from the workflow. So that way you will be able to use the approval process from the workflow.
Okay, thank you. We may have time for maybe a couple of questions more. So can you also make a note of things like on vacation, or if someone came in late, or if there was a no-show?
So you can use the other hours. MCT allow you to enter timesheet for any other hours, such as vacations, such as sick leave, such as no-show hours. Yes, in CMIC, you can create a flexible hour type, you can call it no-show, and then you can enter time against the no-show or vacation hour or sick hour or any other hours you would like to enter time code.
Thank you. So the next one is a comment and a question commingled together. So the superintendent forecasting is good. I like the duration method. And the question is, how do you handle direct labor forecasting within your system? Is it productivity factor based?
I think that's what Steve.
You know what? I'm going to have to we'll have to have a couple more follow-up questions for Lee to make me help me understand and answer that question a little more accurately. So maybe we'll do a sidebar with Lee to make sure he gets or she gets the information that they need.
Sure, no problem. In one more question, so can you book overtime to salaried personnel that is job costed and only hit the job with the overtime rate and not pay the employee the overtime?
For the salaried person, not pay the overtime, you can actually. Now that's again, I have to get more information as Steve was whenever I have to get more information on that, and maybe we can do the side conversation on this one and think about it how we can actually achieve this task.
Sure, no problem. And I think we have time for one final question, and that is, can you do overtime by week, that is after 40 hours, and not by day?
So we have the overtime module, built-in module in payroll system. What our recommendation is that you simply set up your overtime rules based on your union or based on your company. And once your overtime rule are set up in payroll module, all you have to do is enter your regular time. So in field, supervisor or foreman or employees don't have to worry about it and then calculate your overtime manually. All you do is record your normal hours. So if the employee is working 50 hours a week, you simply submit the normal hours to the payroll module. Then payroll, before they actually post this timesheet into the system, they can run this simple module and calculate the overtime automatically for all your employees based on your union rules or based on your company rules. And that way you can pay them accurate time.
Thank you so much. So that's all the time that we have today. I would like to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. Hopefully it was a very good investment of your time. Note that a recording of today's session will be made available shortly, including a transcript of the Q&A with all the questions and answers included. In the meantime, please feel free to reach out to our experts if you want to know more about our solutions or if you have any more questions. With that, I wish you all a good day and bye for now.